Edinburgh Airport is located at Ingliston in the City of Edinburgh, Scotland, and was the busiest airport in Scotland in 2013, handling just under 9.8 million passengers in that year. It was also the fifth busiest airport in the UK by total passengers. It is located 5 nautical miles west of the city centre and is situated just off the M8 motorway. The airport is owned and operated by Global Infrastructure Partners, which also owns and operates Gatwick Airport and London City Airport. History. Early years. Turnhouse Aerodrome was the most northerly British air defence base in World War I used by the Royal Flying Corps. The small base opened in 1915 and it was used to house the 603 Squadron from 1925, which consisted of DH-9As, Westland Wapiti, Hawker Harts, and Hawker Hind light bombers. All the aircraft used a grass airstrip. In 1918 the Royal Air Force was formed and the airfield was named RAF Turnhouse and ownership transferred to the Ministry of Defence. When the Second World War broke out, RAF Fighter Command took control over the airfield and a runway of 3,900 aft was paved to handle the Supermarine Spitfire. During the Battle of Britain, No. 3, 65, and 141 squadrons were present at the airbase. Post-World War II, when the war ended the airfield still remained under military control, but by the late 1940s the first commercial services were launched. In 1947, British European Airways started a service between Edinburgh and London using Vickers Vikings followed by the Viscount and Vanguard series. In 1952 the runway was extended to 6,000 aft to handle the Vampire FB-5S operated by the based 603 Squadron. And an aircraft carrier catcher net was installed to protect traffic on the adjacent A8 road. In 1956 a new passenger terminal was built to offer improved commercial service and 5 years later it was extended. After the disbandment of 603 Squadron in March 1957, the Ministry of Defence transferred ownership to the Ministry of Aviation in 1960 to offer improved commercial service to the airport. Flying was temporarily diverted to East Fortune, which had its runway extended to accommodate the airliners of the period. Change of ownership. In 1971 the British Airports Authority took over the airport and immediately started to expand it by constructing a new runway and terminal building. RAF Turnhouse was finally closed in 1997. The present terminal building, designed by Sir Robert Matthew, was constructed in 1977 and has been upgraded in recent years, with new car parking facilities and an extended arrivals hall. Although the original main runway 13/31 served the airport well, its alignment had the disadvantage of suffering from severe crosswinds and the other 2 minor runways were very short and could not be readily extended, so movements were transferred to a new runway in an addition completely outside the original airfield boundary. This runway, completed in 1977 is 2,556 am in length, and was able to take all modern airliners including Concorde. A new terminal was built alongside the runway to cater for the additional traffic. The old terminal and hangars were converted into a cargo centre. The only international services from Edinburgh during the 1980s were to Amsterdam and Dublin, but in the following years links were opened to destinations in France and Germany. By the end of the decade BAA had been privatised and funds were used to extend the current terminal building and create parking aprons. In 2005, a new 57 am tall air traffic control tower was completed at a cost of £10 million. An extension to the terminal opened in September 2006 called the Southeast Pier. This extension initially added 6 gates on a new pier to the southeast of the original building. A further 4 gates were added to the Southeast Pier at the end of 2008. On October 19, 2011, BAA Limited announced its intention to sell the airport, following a decision by the UK's Competition Commission requiring BAA to sell either Glasgow International or Edinburgh Airport. BAA announced on April 23, 2012 that it had sold Edinburgh Airport to Global Infrastructure Partners for a price of £807.2 million. Passenger traffic at Edinburgh Airport reached a record level in 2013 with nearly 9.8 million passengers and over 111,000 aircraft movements. Also in 2013, a further extension to the passenger terminal was announced, taking the terminal building up to the Edinburgh Airport tram stop. The opening of the Edinburgh trams in May 2014 created the first rail connection to Edinburgh Airport. Airlines and destinations, passenger, cargo, statistics, passenger numbers, busiest routes. Access and ground transportation, road. The airport lies on the A8 Glasgow-Edinburgh Road, and can be easily reached by the M8 and the M9. The airport is also within easy access from the M90 motorway via the Forth Road Bridge. Lothian buses provide public transportation to the airport with the Airlink 100 express bus from Edinburgh city centre, as well as the number 35 direct to Ocean Terminal and N22 with the same destination but alternative route. Additionally, Stagecoach operates the newly formed JET Express bus service, previously Air Direct 747 between the airport and Inverclyde railway station and Ferry Toll Park and Ryde in Fife, and the Giles Shopping Centre and Heriot-Watt University. There are currently no direct rail links to Edinburgh Airport, although it lies very close to the Fife Circle and the Edinburgh-Glasgow railway lines. A project to build the Edinburgh Airport rail link was cancelled in 2007 after a change in government. Tram. The airport is served by Edinburgh Trams, a light rail link from the terminal to Edinburgh city centre. The system runs from Edinburgh Airport tram stop and travels across the western suburbs of Edinburgh on a segregated track. When the trams reach Haymarket railway station they switch to street running mode and travel through the city along Princes Street. Edinburgh Trams began operation on May 31, 2014. As a cheaper alternative to the cancelled Edinburgh Airport rail link project, an additional interchange station is currently being constructed on the Fife Circle line. Edinburgh International Gateway Station, which will provide an interchange with airport tram services. This station and upgrades were finally approved by the Scottish Parliament in 2012. The station is expected to open by December 2016. Infrastructure. In April 2008 work began on the resurfacing of the main runway. This project, at a cost of £16 million, was due to be completed by the end of November 2008 and will prolong the life of the runway for a further 15 years. In the end, the work was completed around 10 days ahead of schedule and on budget. A £40 million extension to the departure lounge has been built. Work commenced in December 2008. £250 million is to be spent on the airport over the next decade. BAA has made provision in its master plan for the airport for an extension to the current runway 06/24, which would allow larger aircraft to serve longer-haul destinations. There are plans to expand further by adding a new runway and terminal by 2020 which would accommodate up to 20 million passengers per annum. BAA projects that by 2030 Edinburgh Airport will be handling 26 million passengers per annum. Development has recently begun at Edinburgh Airport on a £40 million departure lounge extension project which will see the current lounge double in size as well as a new security search area and a greater choice of bars, restaurants and shops. The departure lounge opened on 1809. The likelihood of an additional runway has been thrown into doubt following a revised master plan in January 2011, with passenger numbers expected to be lower than previously thought, 12.3 million by 2020 and 20 million by 2040. Accidents and incidents. On February 27, 2001, a Loganair Shorts 360 operating a Royal Mail flight to Belfast crashed into the Firth of Forth shortly after taking off from Edinburgh at 17:30 GMT. Both crew members were killed, and there were no passengers on board. A fatal accident inquiry later blamed a build-up of slush in the aircraft's engines before the crash. Protective covering had not been fitted to the engine intakes while the aircraft was parked for several hours in heavy snow at Edinburgh. Accolades. 2011 Second Best Airport in Europe of the Airport Service Quality Awards by Airports Council International. References. External links. Media related to Edinburgh Airport at Wikimedia Commons. Official website, Edinburgh Airport Consultative Committee, Edinburgh Airport, Turnhouse. Current weather for EGPH at NOAA NWS. Accident history for EDI at Aviation Safety Network.